the masterpiece unveiled. The next morning, Grandpa Walter didn't emerge from the house like usual. Instead, the entire yard buzzed with activity. Chains clinked, wooden panels clattered, and the air was thick with anticipation. I watched, from the porch, coffee in hand, eyes fixed on the unfolding chaos. The maze had grown overnight, twisting and turning in patterns that seemed almost impossible. It looked like an intricate puzzle, a fortress of wood that could trap anyone. And it did. Brenda Williamson was back in her pink SUV, her face a mask of fury and panic. She had arrived early, her hair even more exaggerated than before, her pink power suit shimmering under the sun as she barked orders at her so-called security team, two men who looked more interested in their energy drinks than her commands. They tried to intimidate Grandpa's crew, but Grandpa just smiled, calm and unbothered, as if all this was just a game. But the real game was about to begin. Grandpa had been working all night, meticulously connecting each panel of wood with the precision of a master engineer. The panels weren't just random walls, they formed a complex labyrinth, a maze that no one could navigate out of. Every twist and turn was calculated, every wall placed with purpose. It wasn't just about blocking her, it was about complete control. Brenda's crew started to realize something was wrong. Her eyes darted from her SUV to the maze, then back to her crew. Her lips curled into a snarl. "What the hell is this?" she screamed, pounding her fist on the dashboard, but the maze was silent, waiting. And then Grandpa stepped forward, his face serene, holding his coffee mug like a secret weapon. "Miss Williamson," he called out softly, "you might want to consider your next move very carefully." His voice carried a calm authority that silenced even Brenda's shrill yelling. Brenda's security team hesitated, glancing nervously at each other. She jumped out of her SUV, storming over, her high heels clacking on the gravel. "What do you think you're doing? This is illegal. You're trespassing." Grandpa raised a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. "Ma'am, this isn't trespassing. This is property maintenance, and I suggest you take a good look at what I've built here." He pointed to the maze. "You see, I've spent the last few weeks turning your little game of harassment into a masterpiece. Welcome to your new prison." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "You can't do this." "Oh, I can," Grandpa said quietly. And I did. Brenda's face flushed with rage. She tried to open her door, but the maze's walls blocked her path. Her SUV was now completely surrounded, the walls rising higher than her windshield. Her screams echoed across the yard, but nothing could reach the ears of those inside. Meanwhile, Grandpa's crew continued their work. The maze wasn't just a trap, it was a work of art. Intertwined pathways, sharp angles, and perfect measurements. It looked like a sculpture, a monument to patience and precision. Every piece of wood had been carefully crafted, every joint seamless. As Brenda's frustration reached a new level, her so-called security team started to panic. They shouted, waved their arms, but their commands fell flat in the face of Grandpa's quiet confidence. The crowd of neighbors had gathered, silent and wide-eyed, watching the spectacle unfold. Suddenly, Brenda's phone rang. She snatched it, up still staring at her trapped SUV. Her face turned even paler as she listened. "What, the police?" "Fine," she snapped, her voice trembling. "Tell them to get here now." She was desperate, realizing her power was slipping away. Grandpa just chuckled softly, taking another sip of his coffee. "You see," he said, "every masterstroke begins with patience. And now, Miss Williamson, I believe your move is over." The police arrived, drawn by the commotion. But after examining the maze, even they couldn't deny its legality. It was on Grandpa's property, built with proper permits, and no laws were broken. Brenda's threats of legal action evaporated into thin air. But the real surprise was yet to come. Grandpa turned to Brenda, his eyes sharp. "You've been so busy playing sheriff here, but I did some digging myself. Turns out your real address isn't even in Highland Estates. You've been pretending to represent a community you don't live in, trying to bully us into submission." Her face twisted in shock. "What are you talking about?" "I looked into your official documents. Grandpa said calmly. You live at Sunset Manor more than 15 miles away. You're not even a resident of Highland Estates, that's why your authority was always questionable. Brenda's jaw clenched. Her bravado crumbled as she realized she'd been caught. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Grandpa smiled that mysterious smile again. It's amazing what you find when you look carefully. Power is nothing without truth, and the truth always comes out. In that moment, Brenda knew she had lost. Her threats, her fines, her intimidation. Nothing could stand against Grandpa's quiet strength, precision, and cunning. She retreated, her face flushed with shame, her crew trailing behind her, and as she drove off in her pink SUV, the maze remained, an enduring symbol of patience, strategy, and justice. Grandpa watched her leave, his expression unreadable but triumphant. The neighborhood would talk about this for generations, not just about the maze, but about the man who turned petty tyranny into an artwork of justice, proving that sometimes the strongest weapon is a mind sharpened by decades of experience and a plan executed with perfect timing. The maze's walls shimmered in the early morning sun, their interlocking panels forming a labyrinth so intricate that even the most experienced could get lost trying to figure out where it started or ended. Brenda Williamson sat trapped inside her own pink SUV, her eyes wide with horror as she realized her carefully planned sabotage had turned into her worst nightmare. Her screams echoed through the wooden corridors, bouncing off the walls like a twisted symphony of chaos. She honked her horn desperately, but no one was coming to save her. The walls had sealed her in. Grandpa Walter strolled over slowly, a calm smile on his face, holding his coffee mug like a secret weapon. His eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he watched her flail inside her makeshift prison. There was no panic in him, only a quiet confidence like a master chess player watching his opponent fall into a trap. Miss Williamson, he said softly, voice steady but commanding. I believe you've made your move a little too soon. You see, this maze isn't just a wall of wood, it's a warning. And it's a lesson. Brenda's voice cracked, her high heels clicking on the gravel as she beat her fists against the dashboard. You can't do this. This is illegal. You're trespassing. Grandpa chuckled gently. No, ma'am. This is property maintenance. And I think you've forgotten something very important. Your own rules. Because you see, I built this maze on my land with permits, measurements, and a plan that I kept secret. But you parked right inside it, every single day, without even knowing it. And now here you are, trapped. Her face twisted in disbelief. This is harassment. You're harassing me. I prefer to think of it as justice, Grandpa said, eyes twinkling. You see, I've spent years building bridges, highways, and structures that last. Patience, precision, that's what it takes. And I've used those skills to turn your own actions against you. You've been so busy spying, filming, and threatening that you didn't realize you'd already walked right into my trap. The crowd watching from the sidelines gasped. Neighbors had gathered quietly, their eyes fixed on the scene unfolding like a movie. Some whispered, others stared in stunned silence. The media was already capturing it all, the perfect moment of poetic justice. Brenda's security team, two men who looked more like they'd rather be anywhere else, started to panic. They looked at each other, unsure whether to intervene or retreat. Her phone rang again and she snatched it up with trembling fingers. Her eyes widened even more as she listened to the voice on the line. Miss Williamson. The voice crackled. The police are on their way, stay calm. She glared at Grandpa, desperation flashing in her eyes. This isn't over, she hissed. You can't keep me trapped. Grandpa raised his hand, cutting her off. Oh, I think I already have. You see, you've been so busy trying to bully us into submission you forgot that all your threats are just words until now. And now your own actions have sealed your fate. Her face paled as the sirens neared. The police arrived, their lights flashing, officers stepping out cautiously, but Grandpa's calm attitude didn't waver. He pointed to the maze. Everything here is legal, he said firmly. Proper permits, measurements, and property lines. This isn't some illegal fence. This is a masterpiece of engineering, designed to show her the consequences of her own arrogance. The officers examined the maze, nodding slowly. One officer turned to Brenda. "Ma'am, this looks like a proper construction. No violations here. It's on private property and it's within legal boundaries." Brenda's jaw tightened, her face red with anger and frustration. She tried to argue, but her words caught in her throat. She reached for her phone, desperately trying to make another call, but Grandpa's voice cut through the chaos. "You see, Miss Williamson," he said softly, "your authority here was always questionable. I looked into your official address. You're not even a resident of Highland Estates. You live over in Sunset Manor, miles away. You've been pretending to be the sheriff of this land while hiding behind false authority." Her eyes widened in shock. "That's not true. "Oh, but it is," Grandpa interrupted. "And now everyone knows it." The crowd erupted into whispers. The realization hit like a punch. She'd been caught, not just in her lies, but in her own hubris. Her bravado crumbled. Grandpa took a step closer. "You've spent months trying to intimidate us, threaten us, and harass us, but all your tactics were just smoke. The real power is in knowing the truth, and I've got it all right here." He pulled out a folder filled with documents, blueprints, and legal papers. "You've been abusing your position, trying to hide your own secrets, and I've uncovered them all." Her face twisted into a mask of rage and fear. "You think this is over? I'll have you sued. I'll make sure this whole place gets shut down." Grandpa's smile was cold now. "You've already lost," he said simply, "because the truth always comes out. And you're just a small woman trying to hide a big lie." Suddenly the police officer nodded. "Ma'am, everything here is in order. You're free to leave, but I suggest you do it quietly." Brenda's security team helped her out of her car. Her face was streaked with makeup melting under the glaring sun, her bravado shattered. She glared at Grandpa one last time, snarling, "This isn't the end. I'll be back." Grandpa watched her stumble away, then turned back to the crowd. "This is just a lesson," he said softly. "Patience and planning are more powerful than threats and lies. Always remember that." And in that moment, everyone understood. Grandpa Walter Henderson had turned the petty tyrant's game into a masterpiece of justice. The maze was more than just wood. It was a monument to wisdom, patience, and the kind of cleverness that only comes from decades of experience. As the crowd dispersed, I looked at Grandpa, still holding his coffee mug. "How did you do it?" I asked. He looked at me with that familiar, mysterious smile. "Sometimes," he said, "the best way to win is to let your opponent dig their own grave, and then give them the shovel." Brenda Williamson's scream tore through the air as her pink SUV spun helplessly in the maze Grandpa had meticulously crafted overnight. The walls of interlocking wood pressed in on all sides, sealing her in like a trap from a nightmare. Her fists pounded on the windows, horns blared, but nothing could break the silence, except her own frantic shouts. Grandpa Walter, standing at a distance with his coffee mug, watched calmly. His eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. His smile was slow, almost teasing, as if he knew exactly what was about to happen. Brenda's security team scrambled around her, trying to figure out how to get her out, but the maze's walls were too high, too perfectly placed. Her desperate honking was met with nothing but the echo of her own panic. Then Grandpa took a step forward. His voice broke the tension, soft but commanding. "Miss Williamson," he said, "you've spent months trying to control us, but you forgot one thing. Your own actions have already sealed your fate." Her eyes darted wildly, first to her trapped SUV, then to Grandpa's calm face. "You can't do this. This is illegal. You're trespassing." Her voice cracked, trembling with fury. Grandpa chuckled quietly. "No, ma'am. This is property maintenance, and I've built this maze on my land with permits, measurements, and a plan that I kept secret, but you walked right into it every day without even realizing, and now you're caught inside your own trap," she screamed again, pounding, her fists on the dashboard, trying to reverse to force her way out. But the walls held firm. The wooden labyrinth had sealed her fate, a perfect puzzle designed to reflect her own arrogance. The crowd around them held their breath, Neighbors, reporters, even the police, all watching the spectacle unfold like a scene from some epic showdown. Brenda's face twisted with fear and rage as she realized her power was slipping away. Suddenly, her phone rang. She snatched it up, trembling. Her eyes widened as she listened. "What? The police?" "Fine," she spat. "Tell them to get here now." Her voice was cracking, desperation seeping through every word. The police arrived, but after examining the maze, their faces betrayed no surprise. The officers nodded at Grandpa, who calmly explained, "Everything here is legal. Proper permits, measurements, property lines. This maze isn't just a trap. It's a masterpiece of engineering, designed to show her the consequences of her own arrogance." Brenda's jaw clenched. She tried to argue, to threaten, but the officers just shook their heads. "Ma'am, this is within the law. It's on private property and it's all compliant." Her eyes flickered with panic. She looked at her trapped SUV, then at Grandpa's unwavering face. Her bravado crumbled. Then Grandpa did something unexpected. From his pocket, he pulled out a thick folder. Documents, blueprints, legal papers. He looked at Brenda and said quietly, "You've been pretending to represent Highland Estates, but I did some digging. Turns out your official address isn't even here. You live miles away in Sunset Manor. You've been abusing your authority from afar." Her face drained of color. That's not true." "Oh, but it is," Grandpa said softly, "and everyone here now knows it." The crowd murmured, realizing they'd been fooled all along. Brenda, trapped and exposed, looked like a cornered animal. Grandpa's voice softened, but the power behind it was undeniable. "You tried to control our land, to bully us into submission. But the truth is stronger than any lie. My patience, my planning, those are my weapons. And now, thanks to your own actions, you're caught in your own game." He took a step closer. "This maze isn't just about revenge. It's a monument. A reminder that no matter how petty or loud you get, integrity and patience will always outlast chaos." Brenda's eyes flicked wildly, searching for any way out. But the walls refused to budge. The police kept their watchful eyes, silent witnesses, to her downfall. And then, just as her voice started to rise in a frantic, desperate scream, Grandpa turned to the gathered crowd, his face calm but fierce. "This isn't just a story about me or Brenda, it's about justice. It's about standing up for what's right even when it seems impossible." Behind him, the maze stretched out, a silent testament to patience, strategy, and unwavering resolve. It wasn't just wood and nails. It was a symbol of truth, built brick by brick, twist by twist. Finally, Brenda's phone slipped from her trembling fingers as she sank to her knees, defeated. The police gently led her away, her cries fading into the distance. Grandpa turned back, looking over the labyrinth. His smile grew wider, a quiet victory echoing in his eyes. "This," he said softly to no one in particular, "is how you turn petty tyranny into a lesson for the world. Sometimes the strongest structures are built with patience, built to last beyond the chaos." The crowd cheered silently, knowing they'd witnessed something unforgettable, a story of cunning, courage, and justice that would be remembered forever. Grandpa's maze wasn't just a trap, it was a legacy, proof that wisdom, when wielded with calm and precision, can outsmart even the loudest bullies. And in that moment, everyone understood. True power isn't in shouting or threats. It's in patience, strategy, and the will to stand firm. And as the sun rose higher, Grandpa's quiet smile lingered, forever etched in the memory of a town that would never forget the day their petty tyrant was finally defeated by the masterful hands of a man who knew that sometimes the best way to win is to let your opponent walk right into your greatest masterpiece.